Hey, what's going on YouTube? In this tutorial, I'm going to be covering VirtualBox, which is a free utility for creating and managing virtual machines. If you're not familiar with what virtual machines are, essentially it's a machine that lives within your machine or within your desktop or within your laptop. In my case, these virtual machines, you see I have Windows 8 and Jolly Cloud. Those machines live within my laptop. And what are virtual machines good for? Well, they're good for consolidating space. If you have a bunch of old computers sitting around, you can actually convert them into virtual machines and then have them all run on one physical piece of hardware. So it saves you floor space. It's good if you want to try out new versions of operating systems without having to commit an entire piece of hardware to it. So for example, in my Windows 8 preview that video that I did, I didn't want to have to install Windows 8 on a laptop or have to reformat a laptop just to do that video. So I created a virtual machine for it. It's pretty quick. VirtualBox has a nice manager which I'm going to go through, or wizard rather, which I'm going to go through here in a second. And it just walks you through the steps to create a virtual machine. Another reason you might want to do it is to browse the internet a little bit more safely. Virtual machines can, if you set them up right, have internet connectivity. And when you first create a virtual machine, what you want to do is create a snapshot. What that does is it takes a image of the machine, of the virtual machine, right after it's been created. It saves that into memory outside of the operating system. And so, say you're surfing the web and your virtual machine becomes infected with a virus. Normally, if it was a physical computer, you'd have to mess with the registry, you'd have to use antivirus, all kinds of crazy stuff, or even worst case scenario, just completely re-image the computer. With a virtual machine, if that were to happen, you just go back to your snapshot, use that, and start fresh over. So it's a lot more convenient. Again, if you're surfing the web, um, it's nice to have a virtual machine that is dedicated only to web surfing so that you don't have to worry about your local files stored on your physical hard drive being corrupted or tampered with by anything that may be on the internet. And the internet's a scary place, so that's always a good thing. And what I'm going to do now is within VirtualBox, I'm going to go to New, and it says welcome to the new virtual machine wizard. So let's go ahead and hit next. VM name and OS type. I'm going to use Linux because I have a Jolly Cloud ISO that I'm going to use. And ISO is just a disk image. We'll call this Jolly Cloud. ISO is a image of a physical disk. It's just in software form. And I'm going to mount that ISO onto my computer using virtual clone drive. I did a tutorial for that previously, so I'll put a link to that in the video at the end of the video so you can check that out if you want to use that. And that way you don't have to go through the trouble of burning the ISO image onto a DVD or a CD just to do this. So we'll hit next, create new disk, and use existing hard disk. If you want, you see I have a Jolly Cloud VDI already created. You can tell it to use that virtual machine's hard drive, quote unquote, that was created previously. But since I just want to create a completely new machine, I'm going to create a new hard disk, then hit next. Here, you're being asked what file type you want to use. If you're not planning on using anything other than VirtualBox, just go ahead and stick with VDI. If you want to use something like VMware vCenter to play with your virtual machines, if you have access to that, or VMware Player, then I would suggest using VMDK. Otherwise, just for this, I'm just going to go ahead and stick with VDI. Hit next. Virtual disk storage details. Here, this is good if you don't want to commit the entire 8 gigs right off the bat. but you want to let it grow to that over time. So not really a problem nowadays since we have terabyte hard drives that are fairly cheap. I'm just going to go ahead and do fixed size. But if you're worried about eating up memory on your local machine, then I would say do dynamically. Hit next, and then location. You can select where you want to put this. It's creating it within VirtualBox VM's folder structure. I'm going to go ahead and just leave it there. We'll hit save. And then it's defaulting to 8 gigs, that's fine. I'll go ahead and hit next and create. So now it's going to do its thing. I'll probably speed this part of the video up just a little bit so you can get to the next part. Okay, now that that's been completed, we're given a summary of what we're going to do here. So you can see the name we gave it, Jolly Cloud, and other type of Linux. We're going to give it 1 gig of RAM, and it's going to have an 8 gigabyte hard drive. Go ahead and hit the create button. So now you can see in our manager window over here, we've got Jolly Cloud 2. I'm going to go ahead and right click on that and hit start, or you could hit start at the top, whichever is better for you. And we see we've got another wizard here. So you started by creating a virtual machine for the first time. Let's go ahead and hit next. And here it's asking, where are you going to install your operating system from? So to do that, like I said, I'm going to use VirtualBox. Let me bring up my ISO file here. Right click on that and do mount. When that little autoplay button comes up, you know we've mounted it. Close that. Minimize this guy and select host drive F because that's where we mounted our ISO image. So we select next and hit start. And now this is just like the first time you pop a disk into a machine and start loading an operating system. So I'm going to hit enter for English. You can see it's loading Jolly Cloud and loading the OS. Alright, so here we have a sort of a pre-install environment. This is how Jolly Cloud would look if you were running it off of a disk or running it off of an external hard drive just in sort of the trial mode with the option to install. If you select install, it's going to go through its own installation process, and I'll let you see that in a bit, but I won't go through that just because that's a little time consuming and I already have it installed anyways. So here it's asking us if we're ready to install. I'm going to go ahead and switch to a machine that I already have built and is already running. So I'm going to pause the video for just a second. So I selected quit on that previous screen, and now I'm just going to go ahead and close this machine. And I'm just going to do a hard shutdown. So this would be the same as you just hold the power button until it turns off. Not really good to do usually, but I don't care about this machine anyway since I already have one built. And just like that, window closes. You see it shows up as powered off. So I'm going to bring this window up, and this is a Jolly Cloud installation that I did previously to get ready for this video. You can see it's running back here, and you notice at the bottom it says write control. That is if you ever get into a situation where your mouse goes away and you can't get it back on your local machine, you just hit write control or whatever you configure in your preferences, and that'll return your cursor and your keyboard to your local machine and take it away from the virtual machine. So anyways, and one of the things I had said earlier is you want to take a snapshot. So I just built this machine And I haven't really done anything with it other than go to a couple websites. So it's still in a pretty safe state. I know there's no viruses on it. You just go to machine, take snapshot, and you just call it whatever, hit OK. And so now what it's doing is it's making a recording of the machine in this condition. So as I said earlier, if you ever get into a case where this machine gets hit with viruses or something gets corrupted, you can just go back to that snapshot, and over here where it says snapshots, and it will, here we go, snapshot 1, and then you could just use this button here, restore snapshot. It doesn't let me do it right now because the machine's running. But when the machine's turned off, I can go back to restore snapshot, and it'll take me back to this sort of healthy state of being. But here we are, we're running Jolly Cloud. This is a version of Linux that's free out there for you to download. And I just picked it because it's a rather small ISO file to download, and it's quick to install, and I just want to have something to show for the video. One of the nice things that VirtualBox lets you do is if you want a larger screen size for your VM, you can go to View and switch to Scale Mode, or you can hit the Host and C button. Right now my right control key is my host key, so if I just do Host, which is right control, and C, it's going to say you're about to switch into scaled mode. So I'm just go ahead and switch to that, and now I can resize the virtual machine to my liking. And as I said, virtual machines are just like real machines, and they have real feelings too, but they also have internet connectivity. So here's some web pages I was browsing to earlier: YouTube, the Android market, of course, my homepage. Got to plug myself whenever I can. And just so you can see that this is working and pretty up to date, I just posted this on Facebook yesterday, and so here it is again, working just like a regular computer. If you were to put somebody that doesn't know anything about virtual machines in front of this, they probably wouldn't know that it is a virtual machine. So it works good. And again, as I said, you can use this to browse the web safely or just test out operating systems without having to commit hardware to them. So this app or this program that I'm using is called VirtualBox. It is a free download. I will put a link to the download in the description, as well as a link to Jolly Cloud ISO if you're interested in trying that out. Again, it's a free Linux-based operating system, which there's tons of Linux-based operating systems out there, but if you're interested in that one, I'll go ahead and put the link in the description, and then at the end of the video here, I'll put some links to the tutorial I did on virtual clone drive, as well as the walkthrough I did of Windows 8, which was also done with a virtual machine. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for myself, go ahead and send me a message here on YouTube or through my homepage. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button up top. Again, this was VirtualBox. Hope you enjoyed this video and are a little less afraid of virtual machines now, and hopefully you get out there and try some virtual machines yourself. Till next time, take care, guys.